One of our children had a birthday celebration this weekend, and we had to leave on one of the nights and be gone. And I asked my child to make sure the house was clean before they took off back to college. And I came home thinking it was done, and I walked in, and if you've been around young men, there's a certain young man smell that lingers behind. We were greeted with that. There were dirty dishes in the sink. There was half-eaten food on the counters. Just things like that, where I knew that this was not my child's house. This was my house, and they hadn't lived up to my standards. I was kind of disappointed. And it got me thinking how God looks at us in two ways. First, in our physical bodies. We're told in 1 Corinthians 6:19 that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. God dwells inside of us. And if we are not taking care of our bodies, it doesn't matter if it's how we're eating, how we're exercising, all these things. If we're not taking care of ourselves, we are putting our desires, our passions first, instead of making sure that our bodies are healthy and holy before God, dedicated for His service. It's a little hard teaching there. But we also have looking at the physical buildings that we call God's church. When we look at Haggai, chapter 1, it talks about how God's a little bit upset with His people because they took time to make sure they had houses to live in, and they were luxurious and paneled, and the house of God was left in shambles. Now, when we look at our churches, how are we doing in making sure that they are in good order before God, worthy of God, not in shambles, not with disrepair, not needing to be literally cleaned or physically or emotionally cleaned? How are we doing in these spaces? Probably need a little bit more work. God is holy. We often forget to treat Him as holy. So I encourage you to take time to look at yourself and how you are doing with God's temple inside of you, but also take a look at your church and how is it living up to God's standard. Something to think about today.